Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition with Accent Radio. Today is being powered by Accent Litigation, and today we're going to be looking at something very interesting, something that helps every business out there, especially businesses that are hoping to, of course, grow to become a multinational and have their presence in in Europe. Today we want to look at how do you register your trademark in Europe. The particular emphasis is going to be on trademark registration at the European Union Intellectual Property Office in Spain. And that's going to be a very interesting conversation because many people have reached out to us, especially from a group of entrepreneurs community, people doing business, expanding their business and scaling across Africa and then now in Europe. They've reached out to ask questions around how do we take ownership of our trademark in United States and United Kingdom, across different places. Now, this conversation is very crucial because of the fact that trademark is usually territory bound. And what do I mean by territory bound? It simply means that when you take your trademark, now don't forget, just for elementary purposes, trademark could be that logo, using the layman's sense. It could be that logo, it could be that the statement, it could be the tagline, it could be the word, it could be something that is figurative of the business you operate, such that when anyone sees it, what comes to mind is your brand. So we could look at Coca-Cola as a name and a trademark. We could look at the Apple logo as a trademark. We could look at, let's say, Sterling Bank as a trademark. The One Customer Bank, which is a tagline, could be another trademark. So trademark is that identity, or better still, is that expression that gives life, gives identity to the business you do. So we're then saying, of course, when you then decide that you expand that business to another country, it would mean that you have to re-register that trademark in that new place where you expanded to, which is why we said trademark is territory bound, so that you are operating in Nigeria, or better still, that Facebook or Metaverse is operating in the United States of America, does not necessarily mean that it's going to be automatically protected in Nigeria. They still have to take ownership of that trademark in Nigeria. And so this is the very reason, this is the foundation of why we are having this conversation today. So a number of you would love to expand to Europe, and you're looking at how do you protect what is rightfully yours, which is your trademark. And bearing in mind, again, I said, trademark is territory bound. Now, one of those secrets that we usually push to our community of entrepreneurs is the fact that sometimes you can avoid the stress of having to register country by country by looking for what is called community form of registration. What is community form of registration? It's the kind of registration you do whereby you do in a central place and then it allows you protection across different countries. And this is what is known as community protection. Community protection usually comes by reason of some form of agreement, concession, some form of understanding by way of treaty or convention by two or more countries coming together and saying that, look, let's all agree that to have a central registry where people can register their intellectual property, and it will be binding on our member states. And so this is the magic of what is called a community form of registration. And the EU IPO, which is the European Union Intellectual Property Office, is one of such community form of registration that you can explore, just to make sure that through a single registration you have your trademark has validity and is protected across member states, across countries that are members of European Union. And the magic is this: it's not just about the members as of now. It would also mean that members in the future would also be obliged to protect, or to see as protected, the trademark which is registered at the European Union Intellectual Property Office. And these are fascinating things about what we want to talk about today. Why will you consider a communal form of protection? Why does the European Union Intellectual Property form of registration, why is it likely better than having to register state or country by country? The first obvious reason or first obvious benefit is that it's a one registration, multiple protection thing. In essence, once you register that trademark at that central office, you are protected across countries. That is going to be way, way better than the stress of having to go across different countries, 16, 17, 18, across different countries, now trying to register one after the other. It's not just about the stress. How about the cost implication? And we're not just talking about the monetary cost here. We're also talking about the time value of this whole thing, the stress and everything that comes with it. So these are some of the benefits. You're going to pay representatives that would help you to do the registration. You are going to, pay for even the cost of registration across the different countries. So it's enormous. It's huge. The stress is going to be very, very massive. And this is one of the reasons you should explore the opportunity of a community form of registration. Now, today is all about the European Union Intellectual Property Office. Of course, there are other forms of communal form of registrations that you can explore. There are those within Africa as well, just in case you have your business in Africa. And if you have questions around the different places your business is, feel free to get to the comment box. Be a part of this conversation, ask your questions, and let's make this interactive and engaging. Okay, so we move on from what the benefits now. Let's talk about the process, the procedure. Now, I am ready to trademark or to register my trademark at the EU IP office, which is the European Union Intellectual Property Office. I'm ready to do this. How do I go about it? First, you need to have in mind that there are requirements. And not just all Tom, Dick, and Harry can go make the application on your behalf and successfully pull through. So there are people, or better still, there are criteria for whoever is going to be doing the application. There are three forms of people that can do this. First, it could be a legal practitioner. Second, it could be your representative. That's more or less like somebody that is already approved by the EU Intellectual Property Office. Now, the next is it could be an employee of the owner of that proposed trademark that is to be protected. Let's delve deeper into these three that we have mentioned. First is the legal practitioner. If you're considering registration at the EU Intellectual Property Office, you might be looking at engaging a legal practitioner for that purpose. For a legal practitioner to be licensed, or better still, to be qualified to present your application at the EU IP office, that legal practitioner must be licensed to practice and actually practicing in at least one of the member states. Otherwise, the member country, or one of the countries that is a member of the European Union. And such a person is not just about being licensed. Such a person must also have an office address within the such country, within the member states, and such a person must also have that license to engage in practice of making application for intellectual property protection. And these are crucial things you may want to look out for, just in case you are on the lookout for who can take the lead on getting this task done for you. Now let's move to the second, which is professional representative. A professional representative might be somebody else that is not necessarily a lawyer. In essence, what matters for a professional representative is that such a person has been licensed and approved by the EU Intellectual Property Office to make presentation for third parties for their trademark registration, and also for other forms of intellectual property registration. So it's always crucial for you to do a check to know the perhaps the person's maybe identification number, call-up number, or something that you can use to also confirm and ascertain that that person is indeed registered, approved by the EU IP office to make presentation on behalf of third parties for purposes of registering trademarks. The third, which is the last, is an application by the employee of the business, the company that intends to apply for the trademark. Now, I'm sure that many of you would love this so much and want to jump on it. The but is that your company must demonstrate that you have physical presence within one of the countries that is a party to the European Union as a member. So this is crucial. You then would like to ask yourself, do we have presence first? When you cross that order, it's easy to then say that somebody has been engaged for the purposes of making that presentation. And in this case, it's also crucial that there is a form of evidence to demonstrate that indeed the company has appointed Mr., Mrs., Miss, just put the name, that this person has been appointed by the company to make a presentation and ensure that the company's trademark is registered. So there has to be some form of evidence to back up that status as an employee, and you must have physical presence within one of the European, one of the areas, or you must have that physical presence within one of the members of the EU. This is also very crucial. Once you cross this hurdle, you then come to the application itself. The good news is that even though the EU Trademark, Intellectual Property Office is situated in Spain, you don't necessarily have to go to Spain to get your registration done. You can approach and make your application virtually, and that happens on the website, on the platform, the web platform of the EU Intellectual Property Office. And for that to happen, remember we said the three set of people, or the three classes of people that can put forward your application on your behalf. And first thing you have to do is to do what is called a search to be sure that that trademark is going to pull through and be approved. One very interesting thing you should take note of is the fact that the moment you make your application and make your payments are non-refundable. So you may want to be very, very thorough as possible, to ensure that you are not engaging in a wasted effort. Averagely, trademark registration goes from 850 euros and above, depending on the kind of registration and the peculiarities, the extent of the protection as well. And you should bear in mind as well, because of this clause, that you cannot apply for a refund once an application does not go through. And I said you have to be thorough, so you need to master the basic things about your trademark being original enough, being more than just being descriptive, also having some form of touch that positions the originality in what you are doing. And then you want to check class by class as well, to be sure that everything you have is intact and good to go. So it might be important at the end of the day that you have the guidance of some legal representative or some persons that understands how this whole thing works. And this is one of the things we've done for our clients over the years, holding them by the hands and helping them to expand across the globe through synergies with third parties, colleagues across the globe. So these are crucial things you need to master. And then the moment you go through all of this process, your trademark, once approved, gives you the right to the exclusive use of that trademark for 10 years, 10 good years, across all the EU members, all the EU countries. You have the right to explore that trademark. You can go to any court, you can challenge anybody from the use of that trademark. And what then happens after 10 years? Well, you have the option of renewing your trademark subsequently for 10 additional years, and that goes on till infinity. In essence, you can have it for as long as you need or you love, in as much as every 10 years you go back to do a renewal of the trademark so that you do not lose it. I hope you've had a good time on this conversation today, and remember, feel free to get into the comment box and let's hear from you, just in case you have questions and just in case you also have contributions. My name is Eitayo Ogunyemi, and I'm privileged to have taken the lead on today's conversation. Remember again, we will be live tomorrow, same time, same station. Do well to share this post, especially to people that you believe would have a need for it. If you have entrepreneurs community, do well to share with them as well. And just in case you know of somebody that needs to see this video, do well to share with them as well. Thank you once again for being a part of this. We'll see you again, same time, same station tomorrow.